What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Attack on Cowboys, and we have a jam-packed news segment to open up your morning. The Brian Schottenheimer era is officially starting. The Dallas Cowboys players just got a very, very scary, seriously, scary wake-up call, and we got backups out here running their mouths like all pros. I hate it here. Let's get right into it and be sure to subscribe for more Cowboys content. All right, so we're going to start with this brief little bit of news here. You can see Adam Schefter is reporting off-season workout programs for Cowboys and their new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, and the Saints and their new head coach, Kellen Moore, both kick off today. So now today is officially the start of the Brian Schottenheimer era. And no, they're not going to have pads on here, that kind of stuff. But this is going to be the first time that Brian Schottenheimer is really in an environment to be the head coach of the Cowboys. So that's going to be interesting just to see what the takeaways were by the end of the day. So be sure to subscribe, because we are going to have a double upload as we kind of talk about how everything went, what the tone was, kind of just how comfortable he looked, and just kind of what the environment around the Cowboys feels like, especially on the first day of their offseason programs. And again, the real first official day of Brian Schottenheimer era starting, because this is the first time he's going to be operating with the team in the capacity of a head coach, honestly, right? Now, the next bit of news I wanted to jump into was something that was kind of scary, quite frankly. This is a little bit scary, and this is something that I think needs to be discussed briefly, because we've seen an epidemic now, and as social media continues to progress and as different influencers continue to get bigger platforms, and as these younger guys are coming into the league that grew up off of watching these influencers, or grew up off of watching certain trainers working with certain guys and all that kind of stuff, something that we're starting to see is a lot more players working with outside trainers, outside of the confines of their actual team, right? For example, CeeDee Lamb has been known to work with NFL trainer Delfonte Diamond during the offseason. In fact, that's where all those training videos came from last offseason with CeeDee Lamb. He was working with Delfonte Diamond, and unfortunately, this man has been sentenced to 25 years in Texas confinement for aggravated sexual assault of a child. Holy crap. Diamond is the nephew of Karl Malone. He's trained dozens of NFL players, including Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. And he also, I believe, started training Jalen Brooks this offseason as well before this stuff went down. But I'm not going to get into the weeds of all that stuff. First of all, absolutely disgusting. He's been sentenced already, so he's been found guilty of the crimes that he's being accused of. So first of all, absolutely disgusting. I hope the guy never sees the light of day again, because shame on you, bruh. Shame on you to be a grown-ass man and feel like you need to do something like that to get your weird, perverted rocks off, right? But I don't want to talk about that aspect of it. I'm not even going to tie CeeDee Lamb to this guy too much. I'm just going to use this situation to have a conversation about the Cowboys and these players in general, but specifically because we care about the Cowboys, we don't care about everybody else. These players with the Cowboys have got to start training with the actual trainers provided by the organization. They have got to start doing all of their off-season work and all the extra stuff that they're doing and working on technique and all that stuff. Man, they got to start doing that with some of their own guys, man. And the Cowboys need to make sure they hire enough guys to where these dudes can do that, man. Y'all got to start actually sourcing trainers, whether it be the organization or the players. We got to get back to actually training within the umbrella of the team, because another one of the trainers that we see a lot of guys work with, and I want to get off of Delfonte Diamond because, again, the dude's disgusting, but even someone like a Duke Manyweather, which everyone respects Duke Manyweather. A lot of people show love to Duke Manyweather, but the thing about guys going and working with Duke Manyweather during the offseason, a lot of Cowboys fans have defaulted to this idea of, oh, go to Duke, he'll fix everything. Hey, Terrence Steele has been working with Duke Manyweather the last couple of off seasons. He's actually regressed. Part of that could be because you see here, this is actually on the splash page for offensivelineMasterminds.com, and it says film study, and here's the description it says under it. Join Duke as he breaks down the intricate details that go into preparing for an NFL game with Tyler Guyton and Terrence Steele of Dallas. Specifically, they dive into the game plan for a rookie left tackle as he prepares to face off against star defensive player Myles Garrett. Duke covers key strategies like proper alignment, maintaining a square stance, and effective communication with teammates to help neutralize Garrett's impact on the game. Ladies and gentlemen, this is part of the problem. How is it that an independent outside trainer can go over game plan tactics with a player that is employed with a team that trainer has no type of connection to? How is it that you're teaching Tyler Guyton how to play within the confines of Dallas's scheme if you're not connected to the organization, to have access to the playbooks and have access to the coaches, to know the understanding of what the coaches are trying to do or whatever it may be? Because a lot of that stuff is going to be private. A lot of stuff that's not just going to be talking about with everybody out there, because there's a lot of strategic information. This is the point that I wanted to get to. Our players have got to stop relying on outside trainers so much for anything outside of conditioning and just building up your body. When it gets into film study and game planning and all that type of stuff, man, you need to be working with the coaches on your team. Tyler Guyton, Terrence Steele, y'all need to be working with Clayton Adams and Connor Riley this offseason, not Duke Manyweather on how to game plan for a Myles Garrett matchup. Clayton Adams and Connor Riley are going to have the best answers possible for you guys. Again, I get it. He got the app. He got the notoriety and all this stuff. But, dude, how can you possibly be working on game plan stuff outside of the confines of your team? Your team is who's giving you the game plan. Your coaches is who's giving you the game plan. Your coaches are who's teaching you the scheme that they are running. So this right here, the Delfonte Diamonds and all that stuff, yeah, it's cool. You going to a guy like Michael Parsons goes to that boxing guy to get some conditioning in, to work on the physical aspect of his body. But when you start getting into the weeds of learning football strategy from outside trainers, then it's like, hey, what are we actually doing here? Because what this guy may be teaching you may not even coincide with what the team actually wants you to learn, right? So that's something I definitely wanted to kind of touch on here, because I believe it is starting to become an issue. And as much as we all love Duke Manyweather, Terrence Steele and Tyler Guyton worked with that man all last offseason, and look how both of those players have looked. I would love to see our players move back towards working under the umbrella of the Dallas Cowboys system, learning, living, eating, breathing the Dallas Cowboys scheme that Brian Schottenheimer and his coaching staff is going to implement, and learning that stuff and taking guidance from those people and taking tips for what those guys want you to do. Because at the end of the day, as long as you're doing what your coaches are asking you to do, you can't be wrong. You cannot be wrong as long as you're doing what your coaches are asking you to do. As long as you're executing what your coaches are asking you to execute, then it falls on the coaches, not the player, right? So I just kind of want our players to keep that in mind. And you won't have to run into situations like with this Delfonte Diamond weirdo. You won't have to run into situations like this, because the guys working for these teams are going to be vetted, and you won't be running into these type of situations. And even if you do, that responsibility will fall more on the organization than the players as an individual, because this is a bad look. This is a bad look if you're CeeDee Lamb and you're standing here with a guy who is now a known, nasty, weird, despicable individual. That's a very scary message sent to the Cowboys players there, and I hope that they got it, right? Next up, we got backups talking like all pros. I absolutely hate it here. Kurt Bankert just floating out a stupid idea to trade TJ Watt for Dak Prescott, and for some reason the Cowboys would give a pick swap up even though they're trading over an all-pro quarterback. For some reason, they would still need to move back from 12 to pick 21 to facilitate this trade. And, oh, by the way, pay TJ Watt, even though they still haven't even paid Micah Parsons, or the contract hasn't even been done yet. And no, they would not be able to afford to pay two top-ranked defensive ends in the NFL, top of the league money. And then what? You want out there with Joe Milton. See, everyone has gotten way too entitled. Everyone's gotten way too comfortable, because everyone doesn't realize that the reason that the Cowboys offense has been this number one offense, has been this high scoring offense, has been so productive and so effective is because of Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has helped cover up a lot of wounds on this team. And we saw this very same thing happen a couple seasons ago. We got blown out against Green Bay. We saw the wounds. We saw the ugly faces of this team. We saw the ugly sides of this team. We saw how they couldn't stop a runny nose. We saw how they couldn't fight themselves out of a paper bag. But guess what? Dak Prescott and his play and him being able to escape the pocket and make all these highlight plays, including the play of the year last year to CeeDee Lamb, he and his all-pro level play was a giant Band-Aid for this team. So even if for some reason Dak Prescott were to waive his no trade clause, even if for some reason the Cowboys were to pull this trade off, it would not fiscally work. It would not financially work. And it's stuff like this, man. Now, the idea itself, I get it. It's just fun to talk about. Fun NFL banter. Absolutely nothing wrong with this. But then when you get guys like Kurt Benkert, a career bench riding backup that nobody can even remember a single snap that this man effing took, a career backup starts to talk crazy because he wants to defend this insane idea that just financially would not work and would not make sense. And then the pick swap part is crazy to me. Giving them 12 and moving back to 21 just to get TJ Watt and trading an all-pro quarterback. Are you stupid, Kurt Benkert? And then he goes out here and starts defending it and fighting with Cowboys fans because Cowboys fans let him know how freaking stupid of an idea it is, how much of a dumbass he is. And he starts to defend himself and then start talking about, oh, you guys are just so abused as Cowboys fans, blah, 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 blah. And then says something like, for the record, I was always third string on any team I was on except for being second string for a week when J Love got COVID. Matt Ryan and Matt Schwab, 31 years. Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, 25 years. Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy, 16 years. That's 72 years of cumulative ball knowledge. What point are you trying to make? Are you trying to make the argument that you who came into the league at 2018, are you trying to make the argument that you who came into the league in 2018 and only lasted for a handful of seasons, are you trying to say that the one odd or so season that you rode the bench, giving these dudes cold Gatorade, are you trying to say that you soaked up all 72 years of that ball knowledge, Kurt Benkert? Shut your arrogant, ego-driven ass up. Because there's no way. I don't know who you think you got the fool with this one. I don't know who you thought was Boo-Boo the fool. But bro, ain't nobody buying that. If your sorry ass soaked up 72 years of ball knowledge, I'm sure teams would have allowed you to be an asset for their organizations versus you having to use those 72 years of ball knowledge to make NFL quarterback plays Madden videos on YouTube. Shut your ass up, man. I'm so tired of these fools always trying to speak on behalf of the Cowboys and make deals for the Cowboys. Stay in your crusty ass backup, broke back mountain looking ass lane, Kurt Benkert. Sorry ass, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. Hey, man, that is the one negative to social media is now we are subjected to having to see and hear guys that honestly we would have never given a damn to see or hear from. We are subjected to having to hear and see from these guys and hear these dudes brag about, oh, at least I made it to the NFL. Congratulations, Kurt Benkert. You were one of the worst guys in the entire profession. So much so to the point to where you were forced into an early retirement in a job that you dedicated your life and all of your time to when no one else did, bro. Good job. You're better than the guy who didn't do that, Kurt Benkert, but yet still the worst out of all the people that did. Good job, bro. Shut your ass up and stay out of Cowboys business, man. And how about them Cowboys? Stay in your
calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Woo, shut up, my boy. Hey, I'm still them boys.